So today we'll be talking about producer surplus and consumer surplus. This video essentially is a follow-up of the video on price ceiling and price floor that I had discussed before. I had mentioned there that there are certain aspects of the effects of price ceiling and price floor that need a discussion on producer surplus and consumer surplus, and also deadweight loss, which I will be covering in a future video, so as to have a complete picture of the effects of the said government interventions in the free market, which entails or which expects a better outcome, but there are certain pros and cons to the policy that the government follows in case of price ceiling and price floor. So let's first look at producer surplus. Now we'll be analyzing producer surplus through a diagram. So we take the standard conventional diagram where price is taken on the vertical axis and quantity demanded or supplied rather is taken on the horizontal axis. We have a standard upward rising supply curve and another standard downward sloping demand curve. So the quantity, the free market quantity essentially is OQ star, and the free market price charged by the charged by the producers of the market is P star. And let's denote the equilibrium point as E, which stands for equilibrium. So given the supply and the demand of the market, we can calculate or we can compute the equilibrium outcome of the market, which is OP star being the price charged and OQ star being the quantity demanded and quantity supplied, which matches in case of a equilibrium market situation. So now what we'll be doing is, let's suppose that the price that is being charged by the market is $5 and the quantity demanded as well as supplied is 4 units. Let's look at first the demand side of the market. So what is the definition of demand? Demand is essentially, rather the demand curve essentially shows the amount, if we look at it from one perspective, it is the amount that is being demanded by consumers at a given price level, which would ensure that we are moving from price to quantity demanded. However, if we move in the opposite direction, the quantity demand or the demand curve essentially shows that the price that an individual is willing to pay for procuring a given amount of commodity. That is, for a given amount of quantity that the individual wants, the price that or the amount of money that the individual is willing to offer to the producer is given by the demand curve. So let's say we take the second unit of commodity. The demand curve, that is, if we draw a vertical straight line from Q dashed equal to 2, which intersects the quantity demanded, then the height of that vertical line, it's not a complete line if we look at the red line, but if we imagine that there's a complete line which intersects the horizontal axis and the demand curve, then the height of that entire red line will represent the price that the consumer is willing to pay for the second unit of commodity. And essentially, if we keep repeating it for different units of commodity, we'll essentially find that the demand curve shows the price that consumer is willing to pay for different units of commodity. So let's suppose for the first unit, the consumer is willing to pay a particular amount of price. For the second, as we can see from the downward sloping demand curve, the price that the consumer is willing to pay for the second unit of commodity is less than the price that the consumer is willing to pay for the first unit of commodity. Similarly, the price that the consumer is willing to pay for the third unit of commodity is less than the price that the consumer is willing to pay for the second unit of commodity. This is justified by the law of demand, which says that as we move on, or rather as the price of a particular commodity falls, the consumer starts to increase its consumption of that, starts to increase the quantity demanded. So as the price, or rather again in the reverse direction, as the price of a particular commodity falls, the individual starts to demand more of that commodity. So if we move from the from left to right along the demand curve, then the price of the good keeps falling down, which is why the consumer keeps increasing the quantity demanded of that commodity. So essentially, if we look at the entire area below the demand curve up till the equilibrium position, that gives me the total amount of the price that the consumer is willing to pay for different units of commodity. Now what we'll be looking at is the price that the consumer actually pays for different units of commodity. So given the fact that the equilibrium market outcome is E, which gives OP star equal to $5 as the price charged, the consumer actually pays $5 for every unit of commodity that he or she procures. So initially, the individual was willing to pay higher units or higher amount of price for lower units of commodity. However, with the interaction of the demand and supply curve, the individual ends up paying $5 for every unit of commodity, which means essentially the individual is better off. Now, why is the individual better off and how much is the individual better off? If we look at the orange lines, essentially it shows the price that consumers actually pay for the given units. So initially I had said that the consumer is willing to pay a lot more for the first unit of commodity, a little less, but still a lot more for the second unit, and again, a lot more, but again, less than the second unit of commodity for the third unit. But the orange line shows the actual amount that the consumer pays for the first, second, and third. Notice that they are all of the same height, which implies that the consumer ends up paying the same price for all units of commodity through the interactions of the market demand and supply. What I've done is I have shaded the entire region to show the actual amount that the consumer ends up paying for different units of commodity. I could have done it for the other one, but I couldn't shade it in PowerPoint, so I had to just skip it, and I leave it up to your imagination. So the rectangle P star E Q star O essentially is the amount that the consumer spends to procure OQ star amount of commodity. And the trapezium or the triangle above it, which added to the rectangle or square or whatever you call it, this entire trapezium essentially shows the amount that the consumer was initially willing to pay for the given amount of quantity that it consumes. So now, what is the conclusion of this? So if you look at the diagram now, O, A, E, Q star is the total amount that the consumers was willing to pay, and O, P star, E, Q star is the amount that it actually ends up paying. Now, what is the conclusion of this diagram? Essentially, we need to find out a particular amount which will signify the amount by which a consumer is better off. So if we have price that the consumer is willing to pay for different units of commodity minus the price that the consumer actually pays for different units of commodity. Now what do we have here? Price that the consumer is willing to pay for different units of commodity is the entire area between the demand curve up till the equilibrium point. So it's O, A, E, Q star. That was the price, or that was the total amount that the commodity was willing to pay for different units of commodity. It's given by red. So since the line is in red, we'll look at the red lines, which show the total area below the demand curve up till the equilibrium point. So it's below the demand curve and up till the equilibrium point. So that's the price that the consumer was willing to pay for different units of commodity. The consumer was willing to pay. Was that the actual case? No. The price that the consumer actually pays for different units of commodity is given by the orange shaded portion. As I mentioned before, I could have shaded the other region as well, but I couldn't, and I'll leave it up to your imagination. The price that the consumer actually pays is given by the rectangle or square or whatever you call it, O, P star, E, Q star. So he was willing to pay a lot more for the commodity that he consumed given his demand curve, but he actually paid a lot less because of the interaction of the demand and supply, which essentially also claims or justifies the fact that market outcomes usually are better way, or market usually is a force that ensures a better outcome. It usually takes side of both the producers and consumers, in the sense that both parties are better off given the market demand and supply and the transactions that take place in the market. So the price that the consumer actually pays for different units of commodity is actually less than the price that the consumer was willing to pay for different units of commodity. So the actuality is less than the willingness. That means I was willing to pay 5 rupees, but I actually pay 3 rupees. So it means I'm better off. I have already saved 3 rupees or $3 or whatever you call it. I have saved 3 units of money. Now, what is it measured? Price that the consumer is willing to pay for different units of commodity minus price that the consumer actually pays for different units of commodity is the area OA EQ star minus OP star EQ star. So the price that the consumer is willing to pay is OA EQ star, and the price that the consumer actually pays is OP star EQ star. So the difference between willingness and actuality will be given by OAE star as OAEQ star minus OP star EQ star, which will be given by the triangle AP star E. As I've mentioned, this triangle essentially shows the consumer surplus. Why is it called a consumer surplus? Because the consumers were willing to pay a higher amount, but they end up paying a smaller amount. So they have a surplus at their hand. And that is why it's called a consumer surplus. So the definition of consumer surplus is, a consumer surplus is defined as the difference between the total amount that the consumers are willing and able to pay for a good or service indicated by the demand curve and the total amount that they actually do pay, that is the market price. So let's look at it again, word by word. Consumer surplus is defined as the difference, as I've mentioned here, the formula says a minus, so it's a difference between the total amount that the consumers are willing and able to pay for a good or service indicated by the demand curve. So the demand curve indicates the amount that the consumers were willing and able. Here essentially able means that the aspect that demand has to be backed by purchasing power. You can't just say I want to offer 5 rupees but I have only 3 rupees. You have to be able to pay. So that is what they talk about. The consumers were willing and able to pay for a good or service indicated by the demand curve. We were looking at the demand curve every time we were calculating the consumers' willingness to pay, OAEQ star. So AE is essentially a part of the demand curve. And the total amount that they actually do pay, that is given by the shaded rectangle, OP star, EQ star. Essentially, that is the market price. OP star is the market price. So if the quantity that I'm buying is OQ star and the price is OP star, what essentially means is I am paying amount OP star, OQ star. It's simple mathematics. You buy 5 units. Each unit costs, you buy 4 units, each unit costs 5. So you multiply 4 times 5, which is 20. So that's essentially the area of the rectangle. So that is what I define by consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is given by the triangle, or rather the area of the triangle, A, P star, E. This is called consumer surplus.